for me to.
Cool. Yeah. Okay. So today, thank you, Doug. Doug joining us today and become our guest speaker. And Doug is a co-founder, producer of Creative and CTD, Creative and Technical Director in BRCvr. So let's welcome him. And I will pass the baton to you.
Oh, okay, cool. So I'm going to try this slideshow. We'll see how exciting it is. I'm going to see if I can get this to work, and I will share sound, and I'll even optimize for video just for the fun of it. Okay. Let's see. Sharing has failed to start. Please try again later. Oh, that's exciting. Why does it say sharing has failed to start? Hold on, let me see here.
Do you want
to hold on, let me see.
Reshare?
Yeah, we'll try real quick. Otherwise, I can. Hold on. I think I know what's going on. Hold on. So this is something we were talking about at AWE, and talk about it here. Maybe I'll. So, you got Jim, Isaac, and Grace. You guys know what Burning Man is, right?
Yep.
I would say traditionally there's two descriptions for the purposes of this chat. There's two descriptions of what Burning Man is. On the surface level, Burning Man is a temporary artist community in the upper Nevada desert where 80,000 people came together to build an epic city. Live peacefully with a gifting economy and take it all away as if we were never there, leaving no trace. These are some shots. I actually shot these footage over the years. I shot 16 years of Burning Man. I have a documentary. Love shooting at Burning Man. It's so much fun. But Burning Man is also a community of people from all over the world. And they come together for creative collaboration, communal effort, and a whole lot of fun. And so these communities are what we were looking at to bring into the virtual world. Now, as you probably saw with Athena's talk, the Burning Man is based on these 10 principles. And that's what sort of glues together the entire community. And cultivating collaboration, allowing creativity to flourish is what we need right now. And we think that these 10 principles are really great for Burning Man and also for the metaverse. So what is BRCvr? So when COVID happened, we were tasked with doing a virtual event within the guardrails of those 10 principles. And we had to bring this community into a virtual space. Now, how do we approach converting a large user-generated festival into a digital space? Well, we realized that our audience wasn't gamers, but rather people who had no real interest in getting into virtual space at all. They prioritize social interactions over graphic quality or fidelity. And it was kind of a heavy lift to get them onto the platform. And last year in 2020, well, the first year in 2020, we did a pretty good job. But this year we wanted to, 2.0 everything. So we had a whole bunch of internal goals after last year. And we took on over 40 worlds internally, not including some of the 2020 worlds that we brought forward. The first thing we did was we redid the main playa. We completely threw out our 1.0 playa and started from scratch, which was a huge undertaking. And we rebuilt the entire city like we do in the real Burning Man, actually. And this is a little bit more accurate and gives us a platform for future growth of this city and designed with satellite maps in mind of Burning Man. We also created a museum of the man. We have all the man bases from 1986 to now. And we even threw events there, like this is a shot of stories from the man in which OG members of the Burning Man org get to tell stories of each man base. In this case, Stuart Mangrum and Andrew Johnstone, who who went through each man base and told stories. It's really great. I have a video of that one. And we also did the same thing with the temples. We made all the temples, the Burning Man. We have all the temples from 2000, which is the first one, to 2020. And we had models from all over the world helping us make this museum. And in a lot of cases, we had to take photographs from what we could find of those temples because there were no models. There was no reference models for any of this stuff. So it was quite an undertaking, and we had people from all over the world helping us. Another thing we did, in 2020, we were sort of limited to like one piece of art would be in one world. So you'd spawn in, you'd see this piece of art on a dusty playa, and then you'd be like, okay, that's cool, and then you'd go somewhere else. But that's not the experience you have at Burning Man. What usually you have is there's lots of art around in one space. And oftentimes people would send in a piece of art that was either too big to fit on the main playa, or they had no intention of putting it in a world. They just, here's my art. So we had stuff falling on we had nowhere to put it, and it was falling on the cutting room floor, as it were. So so this is one of the things I really wanted to tackle this year. And so what we did was we created these zone worlds. And so we started taking art and creating scenes at Burning Man, and from various artists. And these were inspired by the zone trip idea from the original Cacophony Society, Burning Man's earliest days. So all these worlds, these zone worlds, which are in our hub world, on AltSpace right now, you can go check them out, are like scenes at Burning Man. One's at dawn, and this is our eco village, and this is a center camp world. So all the worlds are a scene at Burning Man with different art around, and you can go explore, and it really helps give you that feeling of being immersed in a lot of different art everywhere. So that was a lot of fun. The other thing we did was we rented a space in downtown LA, and we called on, we set up a green screen stage, and we had LA burners come down and perform as DJs, hoopers, and we were able to key them into our love stage right here, which you see. And we had acrobatic performers and stuff. And this stage was designed by Andrew Johnstone, who designed a lot of the man bases for Burning Man. So if you ever go in there, you'll see that it has the man head that makes up the stage. It's very cool, very, very clever. We also redesigned the man burn. We threw out the old man burn. We made a new world that looks like you're immersed in the world, just like you would be at the man burn. And then we watched a lot of old burns and really tried to design the burn as to the cadence of a real man burn. And it was a big win because when the explosion went off, the avatars backed up. It's pretty funny. So that was great. Another thing we did was we recreated a famous performance of William Close and his Earth Harp from Burning Man 2011. So we teamed up with William and recreated this performance. I think you can hear what it sounds like. It's really great. And that's the 2011 temple there. And that's a little bit about what we did internally, but then there's the sort of external world, right? There's everybody else coming to our event. And oh man, I love this performance. And so we broke down the people from the external world coming in into 4 categories. These are the Burning Man departments, the artists and world builders, the event producers, and then the participants. And each one had to have their own custom approach to how we were doing it. And let's start with the Burning Man departments. So there's a ton of Burning Man departments. The first, we enrolled the BlackRock Rangers, which is Burning Man's community patrol. They jumped in immediately, and they've even created a vest ranger, which is designed to be rangers in virtual space, which is kind of very cool. And they have harm reduction, which is called Green Dot. And then the Temple Guardians jumped in to help guide people through the temples, and Playa Info jumped in. And so we ended up creating a Burning Man embassy with all these departments. And we even created a place called the Philosophical Center where we can do talks and have the 10 principle posters up, which Athena is doing right now in Virtual World. This was a major inclusivity push by us. We wanted Burning Man to know that their departments can exist in a virtual space. They can have virtual meetings there and have people from all over the world participate. And it's been an ongoing process. Some departments of Burning Man are very, nuts and bolts, and weren't as taking to the virtual space initially as you'd think, but a lot of them have come around. For the artists, though, we redesigned our toolkit and made it easier for newbies, and we gave them more access. And we had the toolkit's everything someone might need to build a camp, but we saw world builders go way beyond that. Here's a tilt brush world. Some got really savvy. This is a virtual music video for Donna Summer. Here's a dome world. Like, people really upped their game, and innovative narrative stories were being told with new technology pushing the platform to the limit. So we were pretty blown away. Some of these guys came into 2020, learned how to do world building, and then sort of made a career out of it, a career change out of it, which was very, very, very cool. And then for the event creators, we pushed hard to include more events and more content than we had in 2020. We wanted to make more. And we made it easier for the kind of events to be included, not just DJ music, but talks, theater, story experiences. We gave a lot of time onboarding event producers and sort of showing them the various ways you can stream into the platform, because it's got its own quirks. And we did a good job. I mean, we had 3,500 hours of programming, which I'll get back to a little bit later. And then we also had the participants. We had Ask Us Anything calls where people could troubleshoot and help logging into AltSpace, which can be its own challenge sometimes because you have to have a Microsoft login. It's all this stuff. And it was all of this was super exhausting. It was massive. It was crazy. And it was total focused chaos. It was pretty much exactly like Burning Man. And also, just like Burning Man, we also had a lot of challenges too. First of all, before the event opened, like the day before the event opened, I had a substation fire near my house and the electricity went out. And the day before launch, we had a server running that in my garage that people were using for Unity and stuff. And we lost power for 15 hours. And so I went into my garage and got my Burning Man generator and hooked it up to my computer. And so it was kind of hilarious that I was running off this is just the dark at night with just my computer here and one light until it ran out of gas and I didn't have more gas. But this is one of our teammates made me this little world of behind the scenes of as a joke to what happened. It was pretty funny. We had back to that 3,500 hours of programming. We really had too much programming. Actually, we had too much scattered around. People were having a trouble finding events what they wanted to go to. Events weren't filling up the way we were hoping. AltSpace had created this festival feature which gathered all our worlds into one thing, but it was actually making it people couldn't find that festival feature button. It was making it hard for discoverability. So on Monday or Tuesday of the event, we realized that there was a discoverability problem. And what we did was we created this eventsville on the main playa where you land. So what happens is you land and we put up just a simple graphic bypassing any UX. Here's the events going on today that you may want to see. And here's the portals to those events below. So people always knew that if they were looking for something to do, they could always just pop into the main playa and go and look at the events world. So that was really helpful. And we did a whole bunch of other things. We put a video screen up in the world showing a live feed into the playa from another event and a portal next to it. Like, you want to go see what's going on here? Here's a live feed from it. Go check it out. So that really helped up our game. But discoverability on the main playa is something where people just throw up a camp and then you're like, good luck, hope you find it. And we sort of had that attitude in 2020. We realized in virtual space we need to curate a little bit better, and that was one of our big lessons. Another big lesson, another challenge we had was ticketing. We don't get money from Microsoft, Altspace, Burning Man, Facebook. They don't give us any money. Sometimes they'll give us features like the Mac client, but they don't give us money. So Burning Man picked a ticket vendor that had no interoperability with anything. So we couldn't get Altspace with their codes and this weird ticket vendor. We would have to build some kind of expensive bridge and people would have to like buy a ticket here, and we'd have to send an email here and somehow attach the code here, and they'd have to, and then they would, if that email that we sent didn't get to them, where would they go? Would they go to the ticket vendor? Would they go to us? Would they go to Altspace? We'd have to build a Zendesk the size of Texas. So it was just constant walls, and we just finally were like, we can't sell tickets. I'd rather have thousands of people show up for free than 200 people show up because they got through this crazy ticket journey. So we had to pull the plug on the tickets. And then we found out after we pulled the plug on the tickets that Microsoft and Facebook hadn't come to an agreement to how to work together quite yet, since the Altspace is on the Oculus store. So we couldn't have sold tickets anyway. So that was sort of a theme. We had less walls, we were more inclusive, no ticketing, no entry code, and easier to find events. That was our big lessons this year. And we had some investors jump in and give us a little money to get through the hump that we lost for ticketing. So that was thank God, is all I can say about that. And after all these challenges, we did have a success, because at the end of 2020 we had about 13,000 unique visitors, but by the end of after doing events all year and the burn, we had about 22,000 unique users at the end of 2021, almost doubling our population over the course of a year. And so we're always like, hey, what would it be like if we wanted to build our own platform? What would that platform look like? How would we redesign the UX? How do we do things for more community focused tools and all that stuff? So we really learned a lot, and we're really looking forward to 2022, where we're going to move the burn to November and go to Burning Man ourselves and capture some media there to play back in our post Burning Man world. So that's my little recap. Ta-ta. I think we got through it. There you go. That was my bullet train through what happened last year. Any questions?
Yeah, feel free to unmute yourself and ask questions. Yeah. Anyone? Gene, do you want to ask any questions?
Yeah, I was curious, are you going to have, like in future Burning Mans, see, I have allergies and sinus issues and everything, so I would never be able to go to Burning Man. I would never survive it. But I've always been fascinated with it. And I'm a 3D person. When I say 3D, I mean, I like to look at images that have different left and right eye views so that you actually see depth. And I was wondering, do you foresee that you would be setting up cameras at future Burning Man so that we could sort of experience it without being there?
So the first thing we want to do this year is create a two-way window. So if you go to Altspace, there's so many tech internet issues with this, but we're working it out. But we're still going to go for it. We'll see what happens. And the idea is you'll go into Altspace and you'll come up to it won't be a 3D plane, but you'll come to a window and you'll see a live feed of somebody at Burning Man, and you'll be able to talk to them live. So you'll be there live with these people at the event as an avatar, and they're talking back and forth. getting that kind of internet out in the middle of the desert has been kind of an interesting conversation. Certainly Starlink, but there's some other ones. And so that's one goal. Another goal is to take a 360 3D camera out there and record some, Mind Warrior sets or something like that.
Mhm.
And there are some interesting, if you go to, I think YouTube 360, you'll see some really great prior people have shot 360-degree video, which gives you a nice sense of like being there, you're looking around. I don't know if that video is 3D 360. I really like shooting in, believe it or not, 180 3D because I like the proscenium. But I think that would be for Burning Man. If you just I would just want to put a nice camera out there and let it roll and just make an ambient video of being at Burning Man and then play it back as like the skybox of a world or something like that. So I think that it's on the table for doing that. So we our eyes are bigger than our stomach for Burning Man this year, but we have all this list of ideas that would be cool along the lines of what you're saying, and then it's just about effort, people, money. What are we going to pull off this year? What are we going to have to do next year? But yeah, we're definitely scheming exactly what you're talking about for sure.
If you want any help, you might get in touch with the people at la3dclub.com.
LA3D Club.
Yeah, .com.
Are they the pervert? Yeah, we even talked to Insta360 about dragging one of their people out there. Problem is, the Titan, which is their biggest camera, is a monster. It has all those lenses on it, and how do you protect it from the dust? Well, you can put it in an underwater housing. Problem with that is, it's the water temperature that cools the camera through the housing. If you do that outside of there, the camera could overheat. So we have to figure out a way to encase a 360 camera in some kind of protective layer. We'll never keep all those lenses clean otherwise. We'll have to keep cleaning it constantly. But because it's super dusty out there. And it's this white gypsum, like talcum powdery white. It's not a brown dust. It's like a very white. Everyone looks amazing because it looks like they have powder on. Like they look really great. And it's a very drying alkaline dust. So it can destroy electronics over time.
There's a place that I rent a lot of camera gear from. It's called Lens Rentals. And they had an article where they rented out a fancy Nikon DSLR to someone who went to Burning Man with it. And they returned the camera and it was just destroyed from the dust. And so they opened it up and showed you what had happened to the various parts and so forth. And it was pretty amazing. But
that's as you can see, I've shot a lot of stuff out there. And what I do is I usually have a backpack on with a quick release camera.
Yeah.
So I kind of like pull it out, grab a moment,
and stick
put it back, or I never take it out in a dust storm. I used to wrap it. I used to have a rain slicker on it, or some kind of protective gear. And I've had my camera survive if I was just not an idiot with it. Mostly, like, oh, look at this dust storm, it's amazing. Yeah. You can still put underwater housing. Is really great.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, there's no reason to destroy your camera completely. That's just irresponsible.
Can I ask you how to get a video recording, a nice video recording, just like you show us in VR space? For example, like you have Burning Man event in all space. I remember long time ago, maybe right now they change, but long time ago when I host events, I remember because I was the host, so I have to wear the VR headset, and while the guest speakers want me to record it, so I look up internet. It seems like I need to create another robot account on my 2D PC, so I have to have another stuff, and especially, you know, like if the speaker need me to do the slideshow, so I have to wear the headset and do the moderating and looking at the PC and do the robot recording and look at my Mac and just do the slideshow. So it was a really
That sounds, well, you're doing, okay, so there's input and there's output, right? So if you want to record what's going on in the best way, you're going to use a 2D with OBS. You're gonna use the 2D Altspace client and OBS screen capture, you know, and you can capture it in the headset. Actually, there's a way you can hack your headset to crank up the video quality a little bit, which I did, which I did for a while. Coming into the world, there are two ways to, in Altspace, we're talking about Altspace specifically. There's two ways to get video in. One is called an MMC and one is called a web projector. And an MMC, it basically can scrape a like a DLive or any of those kind of things, a media server stream, and it just comes in the world. And there's going to be a latency, right? There's going to be like 30-second latency because it's bouncing into DLive and then it's capturing that DLive stream back into the world. And for a DJ or for music or for a movie or most things, doesn't matter. On 1 week from today, we're doing a film festival in VR, and we're going to screen the movie and have a Q&A panel afterwards. And we're gonna have a Zoom call at the same time going, and we're gonna have the people be able to talk to the people on the Zoom. So we're gonna have this guy who came up with this, you know, he's gonna be basically flipping in audio in and out manually. Probably he'll be like, okay, they're talking, I'll flip to the in audio, and now I have to, that's because you'll get feedback. But other than that, with the web projector, which means you take what's on your web screen on an internet edge browser, and it'll beam it right into the world, and the latency is very low, like able to have a conversation low. So but it's limited because you have to sit there and run it. With the MMC, we at Burning Man this year, we created an account at like OneLive or something, got the pro account, and we were able to program DJs going into various worlds at various times. So we didn't have to have someone physically standing behind a computer. Remember, we had a lot of events. So we're like, okay, at 3 o'clock on Tuesday, crank up this video into this world. And we sort of automated the thing. We still have to go in and check on it, but the idea that somebody has to sit behind the computer and go, oh, now, we wanted to remove a lot of that because a lot of these DJ camps just had a list of DJs pre-made streams that they just wanted to come into the world. So we helped them program those streams out and worry less about when things started and such. So so we really leaned in on that this year for sure. I don't know if I answered your question, but somewhere in there it is.
Yeah. Because every time because the reason why I keep the meeting in Zoom is because, you know, if people want to see the recorded version of it in Allspace or other, you know, VR platform, just by myself, it's hard to, you know, host.
Right, you would need a second camera person shooting the event like you would in real life. Like if you did this in real life, you'd want a camera person shooting the event. So you're right. You could set up a bot with a lock-off camera and record it on OBS. Actually, you know what I ended up having to do because of this whole VR thing is I actually have two computers on a KVM switch. You know, so these screens can switch to my other computer or switch back to this one. So I could have set up one computer recording and then one computer doing the other, switching back and forth. But you're right. It would be interesting to do this in a virtual space one time, for fun, just to see what happens. I mean, a lot of people do this. What's great about this would be, let's say we had 20 or 30 people in the virtual space, and you and I wanted to talk. we can walk over to the corner and talk, and these people can have a conversation. So you really have that real space feeling. Here we'd have to go to a breakout room, or people can't talk over each other. But we've really found that Zoom has we use Zoom as our comms call. So during the burn week, we had a Zoom open 24/7. People who are working can pop in and out, find out what's going on, be dispatched to the world. We had somebody set up security camera Zooms so that we could see what's going on in the virtual world. And we use Zoom as our
backup plan.
Yeah, and you can use Discord. We use Discord that way too. Discord's kind of fun for that. But we also use Zoom when we give tours. If we give a tour to somebody, we meet on Zoom first. We talk about it. Then we go in on our headset and we mute the Zoom. And then somebody's going to have a problem. They can come back to Zoom. Hey, I can't find you. I can't get in. My thing's not working. We can talk them through while everyone else is in the world. So we do find that Zoom has a really great use for as an adjunct. And the film festival, by the way, we're doing is going to be a Zoom and VR film festival. So if you don't want to go into VR world, you can participate on the Zoom, watch the movie on Zoom, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I totally agree, because before I was hosting the Zoom event plus Clubhouse, and like when I recording it and I have to switch the input and output of the audio, it just I mean sometimes I forget, and there will be a blank voice somewhere. So I understand like how painful it is just to switch the media from this platform to that platform. Yeah,
you shouldn't, as the host.
I should just.
You should have someone else helping you. It's a two-person job. So we're gonna have a guy who's just focusing on the Zoom meeting. Like we're not gonna try, hey, I know, because you can't. It's too much. It's just too much.
Yeah, before I was trying to do 3 people's job and even move the slideshow. 3 people.
It's ridiculous. It's crazy. So when you're ready to try one in an alt space, let us know. We'll get you in there. We give tours all the time to people, or just meetups, stuff like that. It's something different for people to do. There's Zoom fatigue. It's exhausting to be on Zoom all the time.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Any other questions? Feel free to.
I think what we should do is just call on people and then just
call on people. Yeah.
Just randomly. There's only 4 people here, so it's like it's hard to hide here, because there was.
Yeah, Grace, do you want to share anything? Yeah, Grace is my college friend. Yeah.
Where's Grace located?
Pasadena.
Okay, I'm in Northridge. That's a very.
We went to the college in Pasadena, and I'm in Buena Park right now.
Oh, you're in Buena Park. I was gonna say that's a very. I look at that background and I think earthquake. Not earthquake friendly. The background you got there.
I know. I love it.
You can have some. Hopefully, it happens in the middle of the night when you're not sitting at this desk and all those books will fall on you.
There was a construction going on at my balcony, so it was really loud. Well, it's not a question, but it just reminds me the TV show called Upload. Have you guys?
I saw that.
Oh wow! Do you think we're gonna have like our own avatar in the future at some point?
Well, there's an app on the Oculus store called what is that damn thing's called? Anyway, where they make an AI avatar and you sort of talk to it. I think that there will be. I don't know if we're going to be uploading our consciousness into the computers anytime soon. But our companions may be bots, if you know what I'm saying. Our companions might be AI bots, and so I believe that you'll probably just get good enough. And there is an app. I'm looking it up because I tried it. That you can download right now on your Oculus. That is the first generation of that sort of your friend bot, where you talk to them and they answer you.
Oh wow.
It's called well, I'm glad you asked because I can't remember. Anyway, it's not just on Oculus. I think it's a whole AI system, and they're doing a early test. So you choose your bot, and then you're just in a room with them on your Oculus, and then you just talk to them, and it's pretty good. It's called Replica, REPILKA, and it's a free app on your Oculus store, and you download it and check it out, and you talk to this bot. So, and you can become friends with them if you're lonely.
Okay.
We have other friends that are.
Good to know.
But yeah, it's kind of an interesting experiment. So, so yeah, I would say upload. My issue with upload, I think had a tone problem. like it was trying to be a goofy comedy, and they were doing gags that were comedy gags, like the robot trying to get into the CAPTCHA and can't figure it out because he's a robot. And then so it was trying to be funny, but then it was also sort of dark because he had this. And I don't really think
I felt exactly the same way.
I don't really feel like they nailed the tone of that show. They didn't know.
Right.
They went for so they were stuck between two worlds, and they didn't
About their life, so it was kind of confusing.
It was very confusing.
Yeah.
Like, was it a comedy? I think that the gold standard of this, if you ask me, is MASH. MASH is a comedy in a war zone. So you have the blending of two tones called what they called dramedy, and they really nailed it. But I don't think Upload did.
I totally agree.
Yeah, because anyway, but I did like the show. I would say if you want a good show that nailed the tone, have you seen Devs? DEVS?
No.
Did you ever see Ex Machina? The movie Ex Machina? No?
Not
Somebody?
yet.
Oh, okay. You guys got to watch the movie Ex Machina. And the guy who made that made Devs. And hold on.
I think I saw Ex Machina, but
Yeah.
I haven't
how
saw
was it?
the devs. Yeah.
How was it for you?
At the end, it has a twist. Yeah, you saw like the robot is like the one who got bullied or something, but at the end the robot killed everyone. But I don't want to be a spoiler.
Well, the question becomes,
there's a twist.
The robot. Anyway, the guy who made Ex Machina made this show Devs. That's why I'm bringing it up. It's got the similar tone, so they sort of feel like they're of the. It's interesting. It's DEVS. Anyway, it's a great Black Mirror kind of thing. Check it out. Is there any other? I mean, we could talk about TV. I'll take that.
I would think that eventually you would have something that would just monitor what you're doing, like if you're talking on Zoom and so forth, and just sort of after a while be able to simulate you. And so you could send it out as, your minion, and it could participate in a Zoom and then just tell you about it afterwards.
Google had that demo service where it was calling like a pizza place for you, and with a voice with not in your voice, but as your assistant, and trying to order a pizza for you live. Like, I want a pizza for you. Hi, I would like to order a pizza. Okay, what do you want? It was interacting with a real person. So very close. I know there was a controversy in the Anthony Bourdain documentary, which was a really great documentary. They were able to take his email and then have digitally recreate his voice exactly as if he was reading his own email or something. So the pieces of this puzzle are already there.
I think probably in the end, your doppelganger will try to kill you.
Yeah, that would be really cool. And what movie is that? But yes, you don't get along with your doppelganger.
Yeah.
Maybe. Well, I'm sure people with twins would have more insight into what it's like to have a doppelganger.
Yeah,
I don't, but they seem to get along with their twins. So,
yeah, they do.
so yeah, I think it's, you know, I definitely think it's going to be, a wild future where a whole portion of our population don't know what's real already. I read it on the internet. It must be real. Like they're reading things.
I don't think they know right now.
They don't know what's real with the stuff they're reading. They believe it. So now just wait till, you know, we get the fake voice, fake video, which is already out there. You know, just everything is going to become, no one's going to know anything about anything. Everything is going to be completely unreal. So the best we can do is train the population to be aware of the possibility of fake audio and fake video. You know, and that's sort of happening. Like, did you ever see those videos of the guy who did the fake Tom Cruise kind of thing? You know, and so it's sort of very like goofy comedy versions. Like, you know, it's fake. He's saying it's fake on the video. He's not trying to be really him. He doesn't nail the voice just right either. But the process of doing that also trains the population for understanding that there are these the videos can easily be faked with the home computer software.
Yeah.
So it's a sort of a dystopian society that we're possibly going towards, but you know, at the same time, there's still some opportunities as well for the metaverse to bring people together. I have a friend of mine in I know a guy who lives in Utah. Had to move there for his kids. It's kind of isolated, but he'll come into VR and hang out with us, and still have that social access to his friends. Still have a social moment with his friends. Still went to a party with his friends, even if he's not here. So, I think there's some value in it if we don't just reduce it to rampant commercialism, NFTs, and selling property. We have an opportunity to make something nicer. And I think that rampant commercialism, NFTs, and selling property is going to be there no matter what. The goal isn't that they're not there. The goal is simply that we have our own corner. You know, Athena and I have been talking about one of the principles of Burning Man is decommodification, meaning when you go to Burning Man, when you're at the event, and I say this is the killer app of Burning Man. There's a lot of principles of self-reliance, radical self-expression, but the killer app is the gifting economy and decommodification. These two are the ones that very few events can pull off. Yeah. Very few, because here's what you're saying. You're saying like when you go to Coachella or a festival, they've paid for artists to put art up, and you're paying for the food, and you're paying to get in, and you're paying, and you can't bring in anything. You have to buy all the stuff in the event, and the event is hyper commercialized. That's fine. What Burning Man's saying, they're flipping that on its head. They're saying everything in the bubble of this event, there's no commerce, there's no corporate sponsorship, there's no buying or selling of goods. You're not buying hot dogs or t-shirts or water. It's all the gift society, a gift economy, and gifting meaning no expectation for anything in return. So if I give you a pen, I'm not waiting for you to give me something else in return. You're giving it clearly. Yes. There you go, Debs, check it out. You're giving it clearly, you're giving it clearly with no expectation of anything in return. So oftentimes you go to a bar at Burning Man, and as long as you have your cup, you know, you go schmooze the bartender, he'll make you a drink, and it's a gift, you know. And oftentimes, running a camp or something, we'll get gifts. People, oh, here's a bottle of whiskey, thanks, I love your camp. You know, like, oh, okay, a bottle of whiskey now. So there's that gifting running rampant, which you would never have at a festival. And there's no Pepsi signs. There's no sponsored by Amazon or anything. They even ask you to cover up the U-Haul logos on your truck. And sometimes they'll do mock things like there is a famous camp called Costco Soul Trading Outpost. So you go and you fill out a form, and then they take your form and they match you with somebody who they feel is your soulmate. It's not necessarily even for romantic reasons, just a friend. You know, it's not really a dating thing. It could be, but it could be just a platonic friend, but whatever. It's just a fun thing. And so they match you with your soulmate and you meet them at a certain place in time. It's called the Costco Soul Trading. And there's also, so there's kind of a parody of things like that there, but there's just, it has a profound effect on you when you go to an event that doesn't have any of this rampant commercialism, commerce. Because Coachella has to pay the artist to put the art there, they can't compete with Burning Man, because Burning Man's like art. Everyone's bringing a piece of art. You can't compete with everybody bringing a piece of, I brought this huge temple and I brought this dragon flame. You can't, you know, whereas Coachella could have, you know, 20, 30 pieces of art. Burning Man will have, you know, 1,000 pieces of art. You just can't compete with that zone of non-commercialism, decommodified spaces. And Athena and I are constantly wondering, like, how can we take that feeling, bring it into virtual space? Well, you know, how do we do decommodification in virtual space? If we did our own platform, you know, we got to charge tickets for events. Burning Man charges tickets, so outside of the bubble. But so we're talking about having parks are decommodified spaces, right? You go to a park, you're not going to pay an entry fee usually, hopefully, and you're not going to. There may be vendors at the park, but you know, it's a decommodified space generally. So we're going to try to bring that essence to whatever platform, if we make our own or if we're on another one, we're going to try to bring that essence to it.
Well, there is something sort of like that in the internet, in the sense of open source programming, and so
open source programming is does have that gift society feeling to it. It's a communal effort to make this software, and so
it's not so much an event like what you're talking about.
It's not so much an event, but it has the, you know, Creative Commons licenses and all that. It definitely has an echo of that same sentiment, where we're sort of responding to late stage capitalism with this. No, this is a software that everybody can be, you know, like sort of like you know, we all use the roads. We all have, you know, we all can use the software. We all can contribute to the software. We all can do this stuff. So that's exactly the right energy that we want to make sure is present in whatever we do. For sure. I mean, some things came out of Burning. Weirdly, Google came out of sort of a Burning Man aesthetic initially in the early days. They, Sergey Brin and Eric, they would go to Burning Man every year. The first Google Doodle, the very first Google Doodle, is a Burning Man symbol. Because they went to Burning Man, they left it on, and they were kind of like, we're out of town. If Google crashes, we're not home. We're Burning Man. So they sort of had that "don't be evil," sort of had that early Google mantra, had a very Burning Man aesthetic to it, and then the company just blew up out of proportion to to that. So
I have a question. I really like your gifting, right? It feels like everyone has a heart of an angel, right? And everyone is like, you know, very kind and generous. However, do you think in order to create the community, like what you described, that, you know, everything is free and we are doing the gifting system, should we have universal basic income? And those universal basic, because we probably need to have some, you know, some sort of system that keep our, you know, survive. Like I need to eat something, and those will be powered by the big corporation. And are they going to tax more, and everyone will be equally poor and get universal basic income? Do you think that happen? Because, you know, if everything is free, then you are the product, right? And if we are kind of getting everything like gifting and getting things for free, and there is no, the capitalism is not there, then, well, it ended up be the big company, well, giving us like everyone got 1,000 per month. And then we are gifting each other, and the big companies supply all our needs and pay a lot of tax to the government. Do you think that will happen? I don't know. It's just some
Well,
thoughts.
I think that, one thing for sure is that Burning Man is an artificial construct for a week. We spend a lot of money buying all that shit, and then we bring it into the thing for a gift. So it is an artificial construct. But the point is that create a lot of these zones, we can start to have people think differently about disposable capitalism and sort of bring back, because ultimately what we're in a battle for right now, if you want to zoom out in the United States, we're in a battle of empathy versus no empathy. So the empathy people are battling the no empathy people. The no empathy people are like, hey, I got what I got. It's my shit. It's my shit. People, I don't want any government services. I don't want to pay for someone else's medical. I don't want to be a part of anything. I just want to put up a wall around me and hoard my money. And I don't care about other people. So I think that that's the battle we're having here. And I think that these gifting, decommodified spaces, these 10 principles, we have to keep training the next generation what empathy is, because now we're raising a generation where they're going to be AR glasses, where kids will not care if that turtle in front of them is a virtual turtle or a real turtle. And if they kill it, they may not care if it's dead virtually or real. And so we almost have to take extra care to make sure that the virtual space doesn't remove our empathy for, and what is empathy? And I mean, if you think about it, empathy is really just, I understand that you and I could die, cease to exist. And I understand what it would be like if I felt like I was going to die, and I don't want you to die. Like, that's sort of like the core of empathy in a way, right? Like, you're going to die. I don't want to die. I don't want my dog to die. And if you remove that from society, you just have sort of a sociopath society in a way. Look, they just don't care. So you can see this playing out in real time. So I think that, in a way, it's interesting you said universal income, because when COVID hit,
stimulus check, right? We got like
600
or 400.
I'll get to Bill's comment in a second. But when 2020 hit, and we're seeing this play out, this is an interesting thing. There was this big surge in unemployment insurance, and people were for the first time getting unemployment insurance where they would normally not, because it was an emergency. We were shutting down the country. And now we're having a situation where people are leaving their jobs in droves because the jobs aren't serving them. They're too low pay. They're just shitty jobs. And now there's this great job rethinking across the world. And because of universal income, which is sort of like unemployment insurance, people are in certain parts of the United States are able to take a breath and rethink their lives and rethink having this job that isn't paying them and is keeping them in poverty. So there is and also working at home, and all these things are getting rethought because of COVID, which is a positive side effect. Now, so there is sort of an example of universal income in a small way there. Now I'll get to Bill.
Cool.
So I don't look at it. Okay, so Burning Man is an expensive event, and a lot of the art pieces you see there are funded by rich guys. Some of them are assholes, some of them are not, but they are funding this cool shit. So they are contributing to the gift society. What you're talking about was there's been this phenomenon, and I don't really care if I go on an RV. Our camp has infrastructure. I'm the Black Rock Yearbook, so we have RVs. We bring in porta potties for our camp. We also bring in portable water, so we don't have to bring those plastic things and have all this trash at the end of the week. We have to. So there's sort of a level of infrastructure that I fully believe in out there. But there has been a backlash of these plug and play camps where these people were showing up like tourists. They were getting a Sherpa in a beautiful tent and they're paying X amount of money. And they were sort of having a curated, non-participatory, one might say, experience. Now, if a rich guy's going to come, I heard, can't remember if it was the Zuckerberg or somebody like that came to Burning Man and they set up their own fucking tent and they, you know what I mean? Like they did their own thing. And certainly you can have people do some of this stuff for you. Often camps have a central cook and you pay into one cooking system. So it's a really gray area, like where you're going to call the line on elitism. But if you have a camp and they put them on what jokingly called K Street, but if you have a camp back there and they're setting up these beautiful tents and you're charging $50,000 and this guy's flying in on a jet and he's getting whisked away and all his clothes are there and there's a rack of furry outfits. And we're going to take you around to see the freaks and we're going to come back and have a private dinner. You're losing the spirit of the event there. Like you're totally, completely missing the, radical self-reliance and participation. I'm all for communal effort in a camp though, bringing in my own water to share so that we don't have more trash. So what Burning Man has done, and then when these camps leave, one of them left one year and just left this. One of them became a disaster. Like it didn't go well and left his trash and then they became publicly shamed and all the burners got super pissed. Everyone's already livid about this level of elitism. But so what Burning Man has done is this year, with this 2-year break, they've started reevaluating which services are going to be allowed on Playa. Now, I get my RV dumped and hope they don't get rid of that. But they had a service where people can have RVs dropped to their camp pre-ready to go, and they're getting rid of that service. So they're trying to get rid of some of these services, some of these ability for people to make these private camps. Also, if you are going to have one of these private compounds and you have security guards and this is a private camp, you can come in here. I mean, it's okay to have private spaces, but you're not a gift to the society. You're not doing anything interactive. You're not contributing to the city in any way. You're not doing a public show. You're not doing anything but hiding rich people behind a fucking walled garden. Then that kind of thing has a backlash to the culture. And I personally have never encountered these people they're always in the back of the city. So it's not like, sometimes if you haven't been to Burning Man, some of this hysteria kind of makes you feel like the whole place is filled with these rich assholes that are driving around and it's just not what it happens. Like I run around, I get on a car, I go over here. I'm not experiencing these people. And if I did run into them, I wouldn't know who they were. I mean, there's some beautiful models there and the Instagram models, and there's that Instagram thing drives people crazy too. And it drives me crazy because it reduces it to a look at me kind of moment. And it feels, but that's not going to go away. There's no way you're going to, and you do want some of these rich people at the event because you need them to fund some of this cool ass art. Yeah. So you don't want to get rid of the rich people. You do need them there, but you want them to design their camp so that they're actually part of the culture.
Oh, they want to feel like they are exclusive, right? They
exclusive walled garden with little tours to see the freaky people and then come back to camp to sleep at your Sherpa. That's really not, that's a spectator. That's not a participant. So the battle is on, and the battle has been on, and I don't think we should necessarily vilify these rich guys, but I don't think we should encourage this kind of camping where it's so we're in this like struggle, and Burning Man's trying to squash out these plug and play camps because they got such a backlash from it. And it was helpful that some of these plug and play camps created a mess that became the symbol of everything wrong with the culture direction. So look, I did one of my documentaries was a Renaissance Fair documentary. I did the history of the Renaissance Fair. Before VR, I filmmaker, LA, cinema. So that's why I'm talking about TV shows and stuff. And I did this Renaissance Fair documentary, and the echoes of the Renaissance, part of the Renaissance Fair, to Burning Man is interesting. The Renaissance Fair started here in Southern California and was in Agora Hills at Paramount Ranch, the first Renaissance Fair ever. And it had access to Malibu and the sort of rich community there.
Yeah.
And they, Cher would show up and buy this beautiful hand-woven clothes. That's all that clothing that Cher had in the 70s. And, all these celebrities would show up, and there'd be people in costume, and they'd be participating, and it would be a mix of these like famous rich people, but also like everyone else. And it was all in there. And somehow it worked. It became a vibe. Then they moved it to DeVore in San Bernardino out at the Glen Helen Pavilion, which is one of the meth capitals of the world, and had a lower, just a whole different vibe. The people were more religious. They didn't like the Witches Woods, had to go away. They just became, and the people from Malibu were never going to drive out to San Bernardino. So they lost all those people. And something about the event's tenor changed a little bit there. And I think that I started thinking like, okay, so these rich people and these artists, sort of, you got to have a mix of them. I think you can't have these guys just become spectators, and you can't have these guys, you can't make the ticket prices so high that these guys can't show up. What happens in a gentrification of every neighborhood is the artists move in, they make it cool. Then the rich people move in because they like the artist, and then the artist can't afford to live there, and then the artists get kicked out and go somewhere else. That's the cycle of life here in San Francisco, LA, New York.
Yeah, very interesting.
Probably Detroit eventually. Now Detroit's an extreme example. Now Detroit got decimated.
Yeah.
All the artists go there to buy cheap buildings and stuff, and then I'll bet you Detroit will rise again as an artist community. Then the rich people are going to go, oh, that's cool. And then they're going to move in, and they're going to price out the artists, and the artists are going to get kicked out. So Burning Man has these low income tickets that they're trying to still encourage these artists to come. And then they have high income tickets. So they have these like $250 tickets that people can apply for. And then they have these and the regular tickets, like $575 this year, it's gone up. But they have these $1,200 ticket that rich people can buy. So they have sort of addressing both ends of the scale. If you're rich and you want to give us more money, that's cool. And if you're poor and you can't afford it, that's cool too. So I don't know the answer, but I just feel like I'm seeing this. You can't let these guys take over, or they're going to ruin it, because they have no. And then you have to make sure these guys are still there. So it's a terrible balance. But I will say, if you've never been to Burning Man, this rich camp elitism stuff is, I don't know. I don't ever see it. It's happening off screen. I hear stories that rich person A is part of this camp, or rich person B is part of the, Elon Musk helped with that thing. And, but Elon is a burner. So some of these people are actual burners. They're not rich people who heard about Burning Man and want to go, but don't want to get dusty. Like some of these rich guys are the guys. Sergey Brin is a burner. He knows he'd been going before he was famous, and Elon is also the same way. So these guys are probably coming with some elite, some nice stuff, but they're also not going to be walled garden assholes either. It's kind of I don't know. You won't experience it. There's also a bunch of jerks out there too, and there's guys from Euro coming, they're going to some rave in Europe, and they showed up, and they're shirts off, drinking, and what are you guys doing here? And they're looking for chicks,
Yeah, there's always
to be careful. It's a city, and there's some shady elements at this city, and if you're a woman, there's some creepy guys out there, and there's some dudes trying to dose women with GHB, and You know, there's some assault issues. So you have a city of 80,000 people. If you have 5% of them that are creepy rapists,
Yeah.
you got to be careful out there.
Well, an
It's not all.
interesting,
It's not just like, but with a little bit of sense and not get too fucked up. You can with your sense about you and some logic, you can easily avoid all this. You just got to keep your wits about you.
I think an interesting question that's sort of an analogy is, what happens to the art world if you take away all the rich people?
Yeah, that's a good question. A lot of these honorariums, you know, I mean, the spectacle of Burning Man is, you know, you have a lot of Silicon Valley and rich Russians, and who knows? I don't know what happens in the art world, you know. So, I think that we're in a situation where we feel that the income inequality is getting more getting worse, and then these guys are trying to create some of these guys are funding a system to dismantle any regulation or taxes so that they can just have all their money for free all the time forever. Before they like the 20s, before they started taxing the rich, or whatever the tax act was, and they wanted to go back to a simpler time when there was no taxes. They were just rich and they could do what they wanted. So there's some bad actors in that scene that make us naturally have disdain for them.
Well, I have a friend who's been involved in running nonprofit organizations. And so they get a lot of donations from rich people. And he said, you know, all this money that we get, these rich people, they quite often have pretty unsavory pasts, and, you know, got their money in ways that aren't necessarily the greatest ways. So, you know, he could see that happens, and that's how they get their money for the nonprofits. But there's a price paid there by society in some way or another.
It's a very messy, dirty, gray world. You know, you're getting money to fund this great project, but is it coming from a drug cartel? You don't know.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's like, you know, sometimes I feel that way about Bitcoin, you know, the whole cryptocurrency, like the kind of guys going in there, some of those people I know of to be unsavory and a little bit of a shady. So I don't, you know, when all the shady people I know are running into cryptocurrency, it raises some red flags, you know, there. And there's some totally innocent people running in there, but I'm just like, you can see, or NFTs, like, oh, we gotta run into NFTs, and like the kind of people that I know they're running in there. Some of them are great, straight people, but some of them are shysters, and it's kind of to use an old Yiddish word, you know, it's kind of foretelling the tenor of it. So
yeah. So watch out about buying that imaginary land, Dominique.
Exactly. I know.
Yeah.
You're talking to a guy who made like bunches of worlds all over the place, you know? So it's like the idea of buying some $15,000, $30,000, $5,000, $10,000 piece of land and some crypto-based platform is not as appealing to me because its uniqueness doesn't shine to me as being the way to go. Even though it's a viable business, it's a clever and viable business opportunity to raise money. So if you can get these people to pay.
I would say that, you know, those real estate, and today I even read an article how to have a mortgage in Metaverse. I was like, wow, now it becomes mortgage.
I'm staying away from the whole damn thing.
An imaginary albatross around your neck.
And I was like, like, you know, there's no government, right? And how can you, you know, make a claim, or, you know, if something you got ripped in the virtual world, how can, you know, there's, so just like Athena's, or, you know, you talked about like we need to use gifting, we need to empathize people, like,
you know, and we're going to be like, you know, we're going to need to make money. We're going to need to do services. We're going to need to have concerts and ticketed events for sure. But our journey for taking this gifting decommodification, this idea into the metaverse, we're going to be, I feel like we're going to be like a wisp in the wind. Like there's going to be a current of these mortgages, and then when you get old, there'll be a reverse mortgage on your digital land, and then you're going to sell it out. And so guess what someone's really saying is, do you want to borrow money from me to buy digital land? And what are the terms of my loan out to you? Like, I would not be borrowing money to buy digital land on speculation.
But it seems like because cryptocurrency you couldn't track, right? Once your money out, and how can you have a contract and get it back? I can just take it and run away, and you couldn't.
I mean, there is no regulation. We're off the rails so far. But if you have money to burn, to just go like, oh yeah, some guys are like, I'll throw 20K at that thing, whatever, it's nothing. I made that in 10 minutes. So that's one kind of person, and they could probably throw money around for fun. Most people, but the people that we want, again, we want the artist. We want some of those rich people to fund some of this, but we want those artists accessing the world and creating cool shit. And already pricing real estate, already gentrifying digital space is pre leaving out the artists before they even had a chance to make it cool. So I don't know. It's a good idea, man. So I guess the rich people will pay for someone to build their building or whatever.
Yeah, and rich people need to do the infrastructure, right? And once rich people build the infrastructure, they want to put, get the money back, ROI, right? Like I put that, a few $1 billion and I need to get back. So it's,
maybe there'll be a value in going to a Hooters in digital space and in downtown, whatever city, a virtual city or something, I don't know. That's not really my vision of the metaverse, but my biggest concern with the metaverse really is simply that that Facebook will get involved with eye tracking and dilation and start making sure your eye grazes over the ad to get an ad hit. Start when you go into Horizon now, they're recording everything, and that way they say it's because if you accuse me of saying something mean to you, they can play back the recording. But Allspace isn't recording everything. I don't really need to be in a platform that is a surveillance system designed to analyze my movements for targeted advertising. So, and the ability to do that will be more creepy as we go forward. So, although I have an Oculus 2 headset, I know it can't track my eyes. It can't. There's a limited amount of data it can get off of me for now. But I suspect that the next couple generations of these headsets are going to get creepier. So, and I'm going to get off that platform at that point. I'm hoping that, again, maybe Apple will have a more sensible privacy policy, since they don't really care as much about advertising. But Google, and even Google's more responsible than Facebook. Facebook is a out of control data hoarding company that I think that their play towards the metaverse is actually kind of cool, but I also think that there's the way they've behaved in the past indicates how they're going to behave in the future. They just don't care about. They just need to make money. I mean, that's why Apple really did a number on Facebook by adding the disabling tracking in your phone, cross-platform, cross-app tracking. They asked the consumers if they wanted to opt into being tracked. And guess what? You're going to be surprised. 90% of them said no.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I when I look at my browser on my phone, I saw like today is like 132 like trying like plugin trying to track your data.
100%.
Yeah, like are you going to let them track? And of course I just press no. Yes. Yeah.
Right.
So
The digital, Apple really put a crimp in this thing, and it really screwed Facebook's advertising model, a part of it. And good on them. I mean, this is what I'm saying. Like, and I've been working with Microsoft a lot lately. Obviously I've been an Apple guy for years, and now I've fallen into a Microsoft. In the 90s, Microsoft was the evil empire. Like,
yeah.
Facebook.
Yeah, like I saw the ads, right? Like Apple is like a small innovative company trying to beat the evil empire back then.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's not the Microsoft of today. The Microsoft of today is a kinder, gentler Microsoft. The Microsoft of today is focused on businesses and enterprise, whereas maybe Apple's focused on consumer. They compete in certain areas, but and so I just find Microsoft to be very kind of all business. Sort of, we found clients that want to be on Altspace because we're like, I could be a consumer Apple fan. I could be like, oh, I got an Apple product and I like their privacy policies and all this. Well, there are companies that are Microsoft fans in the same exact way. They're like, all of our infrastructure is built on Microsoft infrastructure, and we want to be on Altspace because that's a Microsoft product. And we trust them. So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And they've been great to us. So I'm really, it's weird to have this. I don't think of Microsoft in the same boat as Facebook or hell, I don't think of any other company except Uber maybe, but even Uber is changing in the same vein as Facebook.
Yeah, I
saw on this topic anyway. Did I just go off on a whole tangent?
It's no worries.
Isaac jumped in with a question. I mean, why is Bill texting me? And then, where's Isaac in all this? He's got to say something about it.
Yeah.
I can say something.
Yeah, I think Bill. Isaac. Yeah.
Oh,
Isaac. Bill.
Tagged him in. See, can't hide in a 4-person call. Can't just be silent. You're gonna get called on.
No, I cannot find a place to cut it. So
I know I went on a whole thing here. I got to stop me.
Yeah, universe. Yeah, we run
I'm
over
not
the
really
universe.
in California. I'm in Central Illinois, so I work for university. Right now, because I was really intrigued by how you get people to engage in through the gifting. So our university is trying to get people involved in the virtual reality, but how do I say that? It seems like you are able to demonstrate the potential of the virtual reality, especially using for educational purpose, or maybe for research for some faculty member. But how do you convince people with money or authority to buy in? Because it seems like we are moving uphills to get them buying and throw in more money. For example, we don't even have a full-time programmer able to do Unity yet. So, and also, how do we have a faculty member willing to say, okay, this is what I can do?
Honestly, we found, Athena and I, it's so new that people don't have the context or imagination for what you're even talking about. So the only way we can we have to show people demos. We have to make a demo. We have to take them in. We have to give them the experience, and they have to see it. Otherwise, you're talking about these abstract concepts. Oh, we are in a virtual what? Is it like Zoom? Is it? So you really got to make a demo. You just, the people can't they need to see it and feel it a little bit before they jump into it. That's what we found. We just constantly like, oh God, wait a minute. So, and even if it's making a demo world and putting it on AltSpace and walking around it, I mean, AltSpace is really great for that.
Yeah, I remember like few months ago, I watched one of the WebXR event. One of I think the professor in a university, he was teaching history, like human history, like CPN, right? Caveman, like those history evolution for human, like from caveman, sapien to right now our human beings. How's this evolution? So he create a like base WebXR, like a museum, right? And he put all the I think he said that he watched bunch of Blender, online Blender tutorials, and he create bunch of like a 3D object and looks like something that is on the textbook. So he was teaching their students what's the evolution of human beings and all the historical stuff, and by bringing his students to the museum that he created on the WebXR. So I find out that is intriguing because, so I'm learning Unity, and I know coding is not easy, but there are a lot of ways that you don't really have to hard code, but you have to learn like the basic, concept of it. And that professor, I admire it because he is not majored in 3D artist or something, but he learned from online tutorial, and he even said that you can, like through Blender, right? You can find any tutorials, any object that you want to build, you can build it. So I admire that spirit that bring students to the WebXR and then still teaching his class. So I think this is pretty cool.
Yeah. The Engage platform started off and is designed for teaching in classrooms, and using it for virtual classrooms. It's pretty cool. I'd say AltSpace and Engage are really great for what you're talking about. Having students show up in a classroom and stuff, and Engage and I guess AltSpace, they have stock worlds, so you don't need to build a world. You can just use one of their classrooms or one of their worlds, and then import the objects, into the world and put them there and have a professor talk. So if you have you seen the Engage platform?
Not really.
Okay, it's called Engage. Here, let me see. It's like AltSpace. It's a social. It's just another one. I would say AltSpace is one. I like AltSpace better because it has friends and stuff. But Engage is also so focused on. Well, it started off as primarily a employee training.
Okay.
Classrooms and stuff like that. So it's also a really interesting platform. I put it in the chat.
Yeah. Oh, I saw that. Thank you. I guess what I'm trying to figure out is after seeing your presentation is really because you were describing how to lower the threshold for entering to the virtual reality VR world for the Burning Man. And how do you figure that out though?
Well, we made a toolkit. We made a toolkit with pre-made models in it. And then we packaged those together, and then we gave that toolkit to people. Now that just had shapes and RVs and tents and all the stuff you need to make a camp. So people could literally drag the pieces out and build their camp. And they could do that in Unity, or we could upload that whole thing as a kit inside of AltSpace, and you could do it in your headset, like spawn an RV and put it over there with your hand. So there's that level of. A lot of people go into AltSpace and they have a blank world, And then they start going into the little world editor thing and they just spawn a rock and they put the rock in. And, and Horizon does this as well. You know, spawn a shape and you go through the kits. Here's a sci-fi building. And you can go in there and just build stuff on top of each other this way without knowing any Unity or any Blender or anything like that.
Yeah, I think
We know a
that's
lot of people that
what
started off
we
doing
have to
worlds
do.
like that.
Yeah.
And then
Isaac,
yeah.
I was just wondering, are you at University of Chicago, Isaac?
No, Illinois State University.
Oh, okay.
So we are more teaching university instead of research university, and the infrastructure, so like for programming, is not as good as our university.
Yeah.
So and that's probably something we have to tell people or the upper administrations that we need to hire someone, otherwise it's not going anywhere. But maybe I'll disagree with that because it's a community effort. But so when you say you create a toolkit, what kind of effort was involved in that kind of?
Well, you know, at the end of the day,
Mhm.
somewhere along the line, you're going to have to get a modeler, somebody who knows how to use Blender or Maya, you know, to make models.
Mhm.
And then you can take those models and give them to people. This is kind of what we did. And then you also could have somebody who knows how to do Unity. I mean, there's some really excellent Unity courses on YouTube. I mean, frankly, you could go on YouTube and learn anything on Blender or you know, they'll walk you through step by step.
Mhm.
But you're going to need somebody on staff who's savvy about Blender and Unity or Blender and Unreal Engine. It's really all about Unreal or Unity. The reason that a lot of this stuff is on Unity is because Unity is traditionally more accessible for mobile, and mobile is what your Oculus 2 headset is. But Unreal is killing it right now with virtual production and all this other stuff. So if you had somebody on staff who knew how to do that, at least one person, they could design a curriculum.
Yeah.
Maybe a graduate student. They're such great cheap labor.
Well, they come and go, so it's a bad idea, really.
Yeah, they do go. It's a good way to get started, but not a good way to end.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so yeah, thank you, Doug, for giving us like this great presentation, and we talk, you know, like over the universe, right? Start from everything from Burning Man to the entire metaverse and coming back. So yeah, so thank you,
Awesome.
Doug. Yeah, and hopefully, yeah, we will meet each other next week. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Doug.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.